Welcome to Alabama Care, everybody. My name is Sarah Williams, and today I have Tracy. And we are going to be talking about some new resources for the Alabama Lifespan Respite. Tracy, if you could introduce yourself.
Hi, Sarah. I am Tracy Cieniewicz, and I'm the Sustainability Director with Alabama Lifespan Respite.
Let's see. Okay, so the first question that everybody gets asked when they move to Alabama or visit Alabama is, who's your team? So, Auburn or
Roll Tide.
Alabama?
Roll Tide.
My
Alabama
last
all the way.
broadcast was that way too. I
Yeah.
graduated from Auburn.
I graduated from today, so I have to say go Lions too. So
Yeah, and I just graduated from Auburn. Let's see. Okay, can you tell us a little bit about Alabama Lifespan Respite and what your title is?
sure. I'll tell you a little bit about my title first, and it may help explain kind of what we do here at Alabama Lifespan Respite. Respite first is a short break. And if you are the full time unpaid caregiver of an individual with a chronic illness or disability that requires full time care, and you are that person who is primarily responsible for that care, uh, you know, you are who we serve. You are our audience, and respite is for you. We know that you need a break from that caregiving journey sometimes, just to rest, rejuvenate, and be the best caregiver that you can be. So here at Alabama Lifespan Respite, we provide a variety of resources to help support caregivers statewide in that journey. And as a sustainability director, so we are primarily grant funded, and we're grant funded by the Administration on Community Living and their Administration on Aging Federal Lifespan Respite Grant. And that has some grant oversight from the state through with our partners at the Alabama Department of Senior Services. We also receive a state appropriation that's administered by the Alabama Department of Rehab Services. So that's primarily how we get our funding to do all the things we do at Alabama Lifespan Respite. We also manage what's called personal choice option respite with the Alabama Department of Mental Health and all 13 Alabama Cares programs statewide. So I manage these grants and the contracts, and I look for new funding opportunities. I research caregiving trends. I collect feedback from the caregivers that we serve, and I help to create new services and initiatives to better serve all caregivers statewide. So that's a little bit about what
That
I do, but
that's
as a it's a,
that's a lot.
it's a lot. It is. It's a lot, and I love it. I do. I love it. Um, what we do here at Alabama Lifespan Respite, we are primarily known for giving those respite breaks that I had mentioned earlier, being able to, give the full-time caregiver a little bit of relief. And the way we do that is through respite reimbursement. We do not send respite providers into the home. We don't contract agencies who provide respite or anything. We do personal choice option respite. And what that means is, as a caregiver, you can choose anyone you trust to stay with your loved one while you take a break. It can be another family member, it can be a neighbor, it can be someone from church or a friend, just anyone you trust to stay with your loved one while you go take your break. And when you take your break, you can do anything you need to do. You can go to your doctor's appointments, you can go get your hair done, you can go to church, you can go to a movie, you can go sit in your room and read a book, whatever it is you need to do to rest. And so when you identify that person that you trust to stay with your loved one while you take that break, then you would negotiate a rate of pay with them and pay them out of pocket. And what we do is we issue you a voucher, basically, and it says you have this much money to spend on respite that we'll reimburse you for. So, for instance, it might say from January 1st through March 31st, you have $400. So any respite you take during that time, you'd record on that timesheet, pay your respite provider out of pocket, sign that timesheet, send it into us, and then we send you a check and reimburse you for that amount. So that's how we provide respite services. So when you hear me talk about our universal respite or respite reimbursement, that's how we help provide a break. And that's probably what we're best known for. And like I said, we do contract with DMH and Alabama Cares to administer their personal choice option respite funds in the same manner. So you might be one of their clients, but we're actually getting a check from us. And that's why we help them
Gotcha.
manage the funds in that way. So we do that. And then we also offer a ton of free online caregiver education and on site. We're getting back to on site, thank goodness. So we're very happy to be back out in communities and seeing everyone's smiling faces and getting to hug necks and shake hands again. We're really excited to be back out in communities. But we have about 70 different topics in our library right now that we can provide caregiver education on. And it's everything about, from caregiver stress, managing caregiving circles with other family members, how to find support, where to find resources, just a variety of different topics. Grief, just anticipatory grief. There's a lot of different things that we try to touch on that affect caregivers and kind of guide them through those journeys and those experiences. So with that, with our caregiver education, anyone who attends our caregiver education opportunities is eligible for a caregiver stipend. And that stipend can be used to pay for respite while they're attending these education events or other opportunities. So that's some of our. Did I lose you, Sarah?
I'm still here.
There you are. I was like, oh, so yeah. So that's something that we offer as well. And then besides our caregiver education, we have a lot of respite resources available. So our respite resources, if you are new to the caregiving journey or you have been in it for the long haul, but you have a question, where can I get specific help for this problem that I'm having, or who does this? We have a ton of resources for caregivers that we can share. So if you're like, where's a support group in my area, or where is there a community respite program, give us a call and we can absolutely help get you connected with the correct respite resource or caregiver resource in our state. We do have a statewide calendar of events, and it's not just our events, it's all caregiving and respite related events that are offered statewide and even nationally, online and in person. We do have a monthly newsletter that goes out, so we encourage y'all to go online to alabamarespite.org and sign up for that if you'd like to stay informed about all of these opportunities and everything that we do here. And we also offer technical assistance for community respite programs when they are starting up or trying to expand into communities. So we just recently awarded 3 different grants to community respite providers statewide, and we're really excited about that. 2 of them were brand new initiatives, and one was established, but they're starting something new within their own program and expanded into summer camps for particularly for young adults and children on the autism spectrum. So there's some exciting opportunities and things going on with respite around the state, and we're very proud to be able to help facilitate the startup and expansion of those. We also offer state and local advocacy, and we primarily do that through our Alabama Lifespan Respite Coalition, which is a governor-appointed coalition here in Alabama, and we serve as the staffing entity. So a lot of different agencies come together, help identify caregiver needs, and then address those needs. What can we do as a state to help get more funding, help get more resources? How can we best take care of the, millions of caregivers statewide? And I wish I had a good number on that. We just don't, but we're estimating somewhere about 1.5 million caregivers statewide. A lot of people don't identify as a
Oh, well.
caregiver, so yeah, so it's hard
Yeah.
to really get a good number on it. But there's a lot of caregivers out there, and we just all come together and try to support them as best we can. So that's some of the things that we do, and we have a few new initiatives too we're going to talk about today, but primarily those are the ways that we support our caregivers here statewide.
Awesome. Okay, let's see. Okay, this is one of my new favorite questions that I came up with. Because I like to hear people's like stories. So, what led you to work for Alabama Lifespan Respite?
Okay, sure. So, as I said, or I'm not sure if I said it, but usually I start off by saying that Alabama Lifespan Respite is a statewide program of UCP Huntsville. And I started working for UCP Huntsville about 15 years ago. And I started out in fundraising and moved on to work in assistive technology and website, PR, grant writing, just wore a lot of different hats. That's the beauty of working at a nonprofit, is you get to learn a lot, wear a lot of different hats. Um, the Alabama Lifespan Respite program started here at UCP Huntsville in the year 2000. So it was already in existence and going strong when I started working here. And through the years, I have found myself, and my family members have found themselves to be caregivers at one time or another. So I certainly started to understand more about the need for respite and identify with the mission of the program. And then 4 years ago, the opportunity became available for me to transition out of program development here at UCP Huntsville and into the director's role for Alabama Lifespan Respite. And it was a opportunity that I was very glad to take on. And I'm glad to say we have grown the program exponentially in that amount of time. And I've learned so much more than I ever could have imagined about caregiving and about respite, and I have so much more to learn. So it's a great program that was started by a wonderful organization, and I'm just thrilled to be a part of it.
Let's see. Okay, we've already talked like a little bit about this, but the new resources being offered.
Yes,
Um, and I'm specifically interested in the caregiver mental health counseling
yes, yes.
because that's a
So,
big one that
yes,
I've
it is.
noticed.
Yes. And pre pandemic, we had already identified additional mental health supports for caregivers as a need. Like I said, we collect a lot of that information and data through surveys from the caregivers that we serve, especially in those rural areas. We were trying to figure out how do we get those supports. We're not the mental health experts, but we know that our caregivers have expressed the need for some mental health support. So how do we do that? How do we get it to them? And to be quite honest, pre-pandemic, we had always, what we now know is wrongly assumed, that the caregivers we served, especially those in rural areas, might not have the technology available or the interest to be able to access things online. And so when the pandemic happened, we transitioned all of, like everybody else, we transitioned pretty much everything online. And what we saw was a huge jump in attendance and participation in our caregiver education. So that's where one of those things where we were wrong. We were assuming, that a lot of people wouldn't participate in online activities, and they did. So then we saw a vehicle. We were like, okay, if they're attending, online education, maybe there's a way we can get online mental health support to them as well. Well, during the pandemic, we saw, you know, increased isolation, increased stress, and anxiety and depression in the caregivers that we serve, and a decrease in the, respite providers, and they weren't being able to come in the home like they were. And this was just kind of things were coming to a boiling point with a lot of our caregivers. They were experiencing mental health crises at that point and were seeking emergency respite from us. And so we were quickly able to pivot. We did have dollars available, thank goodness, to offer emergency respite for them to be able to take a break immediately before they got to crisis mode, or were in those situations where the care recipient might be at risk of abuse or neglect because the caregiver was no longer able to step, to be that caregiver that they had been. So we had emergency respite dollars available. We started making phone calls. We made almost 900 phone calls to caregivers across the state and just said, "Hey, we're checking in. How are you? What can we do for you?" And while a lot of them just wanted someone to talk to, a lot of them said, I need some mental health supports." And so what we did was we formed what we call the Caregiver Wellness Initiative. Through grants, we were able to increase those emergency respite dollars, and then we created a database of care of mental health professionals statewide who are very versed in disabilities and caregiver issues. And we entered into partnerships with them through memorandums of understanding, and we created this database, and all of them are either available in person or online and have available slots for mental health counseling. Through those grant funds that we secured, we are able to offer free mental health counseling to any of the caregivers on our program. Initially, it starts with 3 sessions, and then if the caregiver and the mental health provider together decide that they need more, then we go in 3 more sessions. We just go and take it 3 bites at a time, basically. And we pay the mental health professional directly. Nothing is ever billed to the caregiver's insurance. They never see a bill. They never see a charge. All that comes directly through us. And that's because we have those partnerships in place. That's why we created that database of the mental health professionals statewide. If you look at that list and you don't see someone who, you think, could be your mental health provider, and you have someone else in mind, you can just let us know, and then we'll contact the provider of your choice directly and ask them if they'll accept direct payment from us. And as long as they do, then that's fine too. We can absolutely go about it that way. And all that we ask, we have a little survey ahead of time and a little survey after counseling, just to kind of help us gauge whether this is working or not. And that's all we ever ask of you. That's all you'll ever have to do, and that's completely voluntary. If you don't want to fill out the survey, that's fine. that's fine too. But so far, we've had a lot of great success with it, with the caregivers who have accepted the help, who have gone through counseling. And like I said, when we get those surveys back, they, a lot of them say, "This is a blessing. It changed my life. This enabled me to keep my loved one in the home longer because I was at a breaking point. I thought I was going to have to, look for out-of-home placement for my loved one because I didn't think I could be a good caregiver anymore." So we know that it's a valuable resource and it's making an impact. And we got grant funds from that ACL federal grant last year to be able to carry on doing that. But initially, we got grant funds from the Daniel Foundation of Alabama and Venturi Brighter Day Foundation to be able to get that done quickly. And so to further support that counseling option, if somebody says, I don't need counseling, but I do need a little bit of support, we have online caregiver support groups once a month. And Carly Frensley, who's our project coordinator, she runs those, and they do all kinds of fun things. They've had sing-alongs and cookie decorating, and they play bingo a lot, and they have had scavenger hunts, and all kinds of stuff. So it's a lot of fun. It's not real serious. It's not real heavy. It's just something light to take people away from that caregiving role for just a little while, just an hour once a month.
Right.
We have care chats available. So we have licensed social workers who work here in our office. And so if somebody says, I don't need a counseling session, but I'd just like to talk to somebody. We have hour you can block off an hour and call and talk to one of our social workers here, and they're lovely and love to just have a chat. You don't have to talk about, you know, you can talk about what you're watching on Food Network, or it doesn't have to be anything gut wrenching or anything. But if that's what you need to talk about, that's okay too. We're just here, like I said, it's just a care chat. We also sent out gift little care packages during the pandemic just for mental health support. We sent out coloring books and adult coloring books and seeds to plant in the garden, and just a lot of things to just give people a little bit of a mental and physical break, just a little happy box. We've sent cards with Starbucks gift cards in them, and we just try to find ways to give our caregivers a little hug through this caregiver wellness initiative whenever and however we can.
Yep.
So if you are a caregiver, like I said, enrolled in any one of our programs, then you're eligible to apply for that mental health counseling, or take part in anyone can take part in our caregiver support groups and care chats and things like that. So, yeah. So that's one of the new things. And another new thing that we're doing is our Care Academy. And like I had mentioned, there is a respite provider shortage. So this is one way for us to help address that. Like I said, it existed before the pandemic. Post pandemic, it's not any better. Um, just like in retail and hospitality, respite providers are typically not paid well.
Right.
And so they're going and they're finding other opportunities. And so we came up with this as just a recruitment and retention opportunity for people who maybe are retired, looking for something, to do to help a neighbor, help a friend. But it's 8 hours of free respite provider training that you take completely online, and it's through a nationally accredited respite provider institution called Care Academy. And it's short video lessons, and you can take it. It starts on the first of each month, then ends on the last day of each month, and you can do it anytime you want, day or night. It's mobile friendly, and you do earn certificates of completion. So at the end, we print the certificates off and send them to you. And like I said, again, we're just hoping this is a way to maybe get some more respite providers out into the workforce.
Right.
So we're excited about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We also started what we call care conversations, and it's caregiver and agency resource exchange. And those are quarterly. And we had seen the need for, a lot of times, like I said, we have resources. So a lot of times caregivers will call us and we'll tell them about resources. And they're like, I never knew that existed. So this is a lot of
Right.
what you're doing, like with Alabama Care. It's just helping get the word out there. So quarterly, we have representatives from different agencies just come online, come on Zoom, and have an open conversation with the caregivers. And they get to ask questions of each other. So the agencies learn a little bit and the caregivers learn a little bit. And we've had a couple of those so far, and it's been a nice opportunity for caregivers and agencies to chat and learn about each other's needs.
Had a couple questions on Facebook. Let's see. Leslie Speakman asked, "Is there an age limit?" That was actually one of my questions I had coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, so we are truly a lifespan agency, so birth into life. So we serve any age and any chronic illness or disability that requires full-time care. So, the caregiver applies to our program for respite reimbursement. And any of the other things that I've mentioned, the education, the care chats, any of that, anyone can be a part of. The respite reimbursement is the only thing that requires application. And the only caveat is you can't currently be receiving respite specific funding from any other agency. So if you're, already receiving respite funds from Alabama Cares or um, Medicaid or ALS or some agencies who offer respite specific funding, you wouldn't be eligible with us as long as you're currently receiving respite specific funds from those agencies. But otherwise, all we require is a brief application and proof of diagnosis for your loved one.
Gotcha. So you actually just answered my next question. I was going to ask what the process to get the resources was.
That's it. And our applications are available online at alabamarespite.org, or you can always give us a call and we can email or mail one to you. And our respite reimbursement is a quarterly award. That's something else we've been able to offer as a new service just starting in October of last year. Before it was kind of, you know, hit or miss is a good way to describe it, because it's grant funded. So as grant funds are available, well, we've secured some extra federal funding, and so now we can guarantee that you will receive a quarterly respite reimbursement award on that timesheet that I mentioned. The amount does vary from quarter to quarter, but you can count on it coming. You'll know exactly the dates that you'll receive it. So we're very excited about that. So people have some consistency and can plan their respite.
Right. Okay, so I know it has because COVID affected everything, but has COVID affected how these services are being offered?
Well, we have certainly had, obstacles and opportunities with COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, yes, it has affected how we offer the education. We have been primarily online only from March, 20 until a couple months ago. A couple months ago, we started back with our on-site education, and a lot of that we do in rural communities. But anywhere statewide, we come to churches, community centers, conferences, businesses. We can do lunch and learns. We can do respite clinics. So that's one thing. It did all transition online, but now we're getting back, out into communities. We will still offer online education because, as I said earlier, we saw the attendance just really boomed. So we will continue to offer it online as well. The other opportunities, we were able to offer pandemic stipends for PPE, which was something that our caregivers seemed very appreciative of. And, a lot of great things were born of the pandemic, fortunately. Got to find the silver
Mm-hmm.
lining. But I don't know that we would have been able to create the Caregiver Wellness Initiative and to have a really good case for Care Academy with the respite provider shortage, had we not had a lot of issues brought to light because of the pandemic. So, like I said, there were obstacles and there were opportunities, but
Right.
the only way it changed was we have increased what we do and how we do it.
Right. And I think the online is easier for some people just
Yes.
because they don't have to travel anywhere or any of that.
Mm-hmm. And don't have to find care for their loved one. If they're the only
Right.
caregiver, then they don't have to try to find a care provider to come in and sit with their loved one
Exactly.
when they attend one.
Let's see.
And I forgot to mention too
Mm-hmm.
with the mental health counseling, if there are caregivers who choose to do telehealth, instead of in-person counseling, but they don't have a device. We did get grant funds from pharma to be able to offer them a tablet for free, and if they need training on how to
Oh
use
well.
that tablet, we can do that too.
Wow, that's
Yeah. And
awesome.
there's a robot behind me here. There's a robotic cat. This is Henry behind me. And that's something else we received some grant funds for Robotic Pets. So if you're the caregiver of an individual with dementia or Alzheimer's,
Hmm.
then we can offer you one of these robotic pets to kind of offer some respite. So if your loved one, their attention's on the pet, you may be able to read a book, step away and have some alone time if their attention's focused on the pet. Those have been a great success.
Let's see. Do you have a list of all these services that you offer?
We do. If you go to Alabama respite.org on our website, you'll see there at the top, um, if you go under About, our mission and services lists everything that we do, but primarily, like I said, what we're known for is respite reimbursement, our education, and our resources. So you'll see apply for respite, attend events, and access resources there at the top.
And let's see, we had one more question on Facebook so far. What is the new amount for respite care?
That's a hard question to answer because we have so many, all those different funding streams that I talked
Hmm.
about. They're all different, but if you're just talking about universal respite, this quarter, let me pull one up and I'll tell you for sure. I think it was, real quick. I said that amount does change from quarter to quarter. So we're currently on timesheet 3 for universal respite only. So this does not affect DMH or Alabama Cares at all. This is universal only. It's $300 this quarter. And then the next quarter starts mid-May.
Gotcha. Let's see. Okay, what is one piece of advice that you would give to a caregiver specifically?
Find your tribe. That is really the best advice, that we hear from caregivers. A lot of caregivers
Hmm.
tell us, I felt like I was alone on an island. I felt like this was a journey that only I was going through. But once they connected with other caregivers through caregiver education or the monthly support group, or even just at events in their communities, when they realize that they're not going through this caregiving journey alone, um, then they had a different perspective and they had a different support system. And I think that's so important, is to
Yeah,
find your peers in the caregiving
right.
community. So that's what I would say. I'd say find your tribe.
That's what my mom says.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I do. That's important no matter what in life. You gotta find your
yeah.
people.
Let's see. So, do y'all have any events that are
So in April, we still have plenty of caregiver education opportunities this month. That care chat that I mentioned earlier is this month for the Caregiver and Agency Resource Exchange. It's coming up this month, and let's see, that one is April 15th. So it's this Friday at 10 a.m., and it is via Zoom. And all of our caregiver education, these opportunities, you can register for under attend events at alabamarespite.org. But that's usually, like I said, a really, really good opportunity to learn about some new resources. Um, and for our caregivers in the Bay Minette area, Vonda will be at the Bay Minette Public Library on April 26th. And her education topic is the power of gratitude. And I know sometimes it's hard to find those opportunities to express gratitude and to be grateful for what you have if you're so deep in that caregiving journey and you don't see a way out. But Vonda offers a lot of great tips and advice on how to be grateful for all that we have in our everyday journeys and in our caregiving journeys.
Okay. Let's see. So how can they contact you?
So you can contact us at alabamarespite.org, or you can give us a call here at our office. We're open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And our number is 256-859-8300. And on our website, alabamarespite.org, there's a list of our contact information there under contact. You can email us, just whatever's, most convenient for you to get in touch with us. We're here, we are available, we're ready to help in any way we can.
Okay. This is also a new question that I just started asking that I really like, so I just kept going with it.
Yeah.
What would you like to see more of for the disability community in Alabama?
Well, I have to say more respite because I really would. I'd love to see more respite funding and more respite opportunities, but really more awareness of what's out there, like what Alabama Care is doing, and what we attempt to do with the care meetings. Like I said, people call us and they're just shocked at the resources that are available. They're like, I wish there was just a one-stop shop for all of these resources. And I think a lot of people feel that way. So I would like to see that maybe, through the state, if that were, possible, if that were feasible, to have that one-stop shop for all things ability and disability and caregiving related just in one place. And I know that's a huge undertaking and a big ask, but I think it's something that's needed.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you would like to touch on?
Not that I can think of. The biggest thing is, as I said before, a lot of people don't identify as a caregiver. And I would like to encourage you, if you are that full-time unpaid um, family member who is primarily responsible for the care of a loved one with chronic illness or disability, find your tribe, reach out for resources, and take a break. We don't want you to burn out. We want you to be supported, and we want you to be a caregiver as long as you can and you want to be. A big goal of ours is to keep the care recipient in the home as long as possible. That's where people want to be. People want to be at home.
Right.
So anything we can do or the agencies we work with can do to help you reach that goal, then we're here for you.
Okay. Let's see. Check Facebook. I think that is actually all of my questions. Yep. Well, thanks for letting me interview you. It was nice to meet you.
Yeah. Thank you, Sarah. It's nice to meet
I
you
know we've been
too.
talking over like email and stuff, but it's
Yep.
nice to put a face with a name.
And I've watched you before on Alabama Live, so
Have
on
you?
Facebook Live here. So great job. Thank you so much for providing this resource.
You're welcome.
All right. Have a good day.
All right. You too.
Bye.
Bye, guys.